office. And this afternoon we are going to be presenting a year-end closing procedures webinar for GP payroll. And today we have with us Tina Hare and Christopher Kubala, who are both going to be presenting. So we will be passing the microphone back and forth between the two of them. As far as a little bit of logistical pieces, if you do have questions, everyone is in listen-only mode. So you can go over, there is a question section where you can type a question in, and I will be monitoring those for Tina and for Christopher. So feel free to type in a question, and I will let them know what those questions are, and we will answer as they can. We'll be asking questions. You can do that periodically, and I'll interrupt them at specific times throughout the webinar. So with that said, Tina Hare is going to start us off. So Tina, I will pass it over to you.
Thanks, Lisa. Good afternoon, everyone. As Lisa mentioned, we are presenting a year-end closing procedure webinar for Microsoft Dynamics GP Payroll. Okay, why is it not? There it went. So, this afternoon we're going to talk about the year-end update and the processes for actually closing your payroll year-end. So we're going to start with the 2013 payroll year-end update. As you can see on the screen, there are two supported versions, which is Microsoft Dynamics GP 2010 and Microsoft Dynamics GP 2013. These will be the only two versions that the year-end update will be released for. The update will be all-inclusive of any prior updates for either Microsoft Dynamics GP 2010 or 2013. So what that means is that prior service packs, if they are not installed on your machine currently or in your environment, they will be installed along with the year-end update. If you're not sure which version of GP you're using, if you choose Help in the upper right-hand corner of GP and go to About Microsoft Dynamics GP, you'll see the version information on the right-hand side of the window. So if by chance you are not using a supported version of GP, we'll need to either get you upgraded or we'll need to have a chat and talk about the best way to handle it. So for Microsoft Dynamics GP 2010, this is the link, and we will communicate this with all of you via email, so don't feel like you have to write it down. But this is the link to the GP 2010 year-end update. Once it's installed, this will be your version number, so it'll be 11.00.2292. And for the 2010 update, some of the changes that are included will affect project accounting, fixed assets, human resources, field service, payroll extensions, and advanced HR. Now I realize a lot of you either don't know what those modules are or whatever, but for those of you who might, just so you know, the update for GP 2010 will affect those modules as well.
As Tina explained, that is because all the previous service packs are all bundled in this year-end update. So previous service packs for those other additional modules are included in this payroll update.
Correct. Thank you. So for Microsoft Dynamics GP 2013, this is the path in which the tax update is available at. Once the update is installed, actually the version number is probably going to be higher than this. Microsoft just re-released the GP 2013 update. So this version number is probably not accurate now. They just released it either, what was it, late yesterday or early today. Christopher, if you can get that number, we can let everybody know what it should be if they're on 2013.
Sure, I'm looking right
now.
now.
While he's looking that up, some of the changes that, or other modules that are affected by the 2013 update, would include project accounting, fixed assets, manufacturing, human resources, field service, your cash book, analytical accounting, payroll extensions, and advanced HR. And again, as Christopher mentioned, because the updates are all inclusive of prior service packs, it's affecting other modules, not just payroll year-end. So for Microsoft Dynamics GP version 10, the 2013 year-end update and the 2014 tax updates will not be made available for Microsoft Dynamics GP 10 and prior versions. So what that means is basically what it says is there will not be an update for any release prior to GP 2010. If by chance you are on GP 2010 or a prior version, you'll let us know and we'll talk options. So some of the changes in the year-end update include, as we've mentioned a couple of times already, it's all inclusive, so it has prior version or service packs will be included in it. There are no W-2 and no W-3 form changes. So everybody jump up and down now. So there are no form changes there. There are some changes in the electronic W-2 filing. So those of you who either file electronically or are required to file electronically, the following changes will affect you. You may not necessarily see them, but they will be in the file. So here's a list of fields that have been added. And you'll see it's all employer information. So we have contact name, contact phone number, extension, fax number, email and internet field information, as well as other EIN fields that are now applicable to all tax jurisdictions. So Microsoft does support electronic filing for W-2 information in the federal EFW2 format. Some states also accept this format. I've heard people mention that they would like this file to be accepted by all states and all locals. However, it depends on what those local and state requirements are as to whether they can actually accept this file. But the magnetic media file that is generated directly from GP complies with the federal requirements. As I mentioned, so there's some non-supported electronic filing. GP does not do electronic filing for 1099-R forms. It does not do electronic filing for state unemployment forms or W-2 formats that are in a format other than the EFW2 format required by the IRS. If you're interested in filing some of these other forms electronically, there are products available to do that with. You just need to contact your lead consultant or your account manager with Socius, and they can help you with that. So that was the year-end update and what it affects. Now we're going to review the payroll year-end procedures. And you're going to see, if you've been on GP for a while, that these steps are very similar to as they have been in the past. One thing we want to stress is that you can install the US 2013 year-end update at any point in time. You do not have to wait till your last payroll in December to install the year-end update. So if you have a test environment, we are going to recommend that you install it in your test environment and test it thoroughly with anything that you might already have in GP. So if you have customs, if you have modified windows, whatever the case may be, we want to encourage you to test the year-end update in the separate test environment. It's different than a test company, so I don't want to get that confused. So once you've installed the year-end,
a test environment would be one that replicates your normal environment, usually a separate server with separate integrations and custom fields and staging, so that before you put any information into production, you're able to work through any issues.
Good. So once the year-end update's installed on whether it's in your live environment or test environment, depending on if you're going to test the year-end procedures, you want to verify that you've installed the latest payroll tax tables. And so you'll need to get with whoever's responsible for installing those if they're not current. You want to make sure, of course, that you complete all your 2013 pay runs. So typically that means you're doing this process of creating your year-end wage file between your last payroll of 2013 and your first payroll of 2014. So once all those have completed, you want to complete your payroll month end, your period end, or your quarter end procedures. So whatever reports that you might print, you want to go ahead and process all of that. Then you want to make a backup of your GP 2013 company databases. So it may not be 2013. It could be, it's your year 2013, not version 2013, to try not to get that too confused. But you want to make a backup and label it pre-year-end wage file. Once you've got that, then you can create your year-end wage file. And I know there's some of you out there that have done this before in the past and are familiar with creating the year-end wage file. And I know that we have some clients new to payroll this year that are not familiar with that process. And the idea is that we would help you with that the first time if you want. The year-end wage file goes out and collects all the data, and that's what the W-2s are actually printed from. So once you've created the year-end wage file, Microsoft recommends that you make another backup of your database and label that post-year-end wage file. So you have a backup prior to creating the year-end wage file and one after you've created the year-end wage file. So then you're going to start verifying your W-2 and your 1099 information. It's going through validating, the year-end wage reports and ensuring that everything reconciles out. If you make any changes to the statement information, it's recommended that you make another backup. Keep in mind, though, if you've created the year-end wage file and you make changes to it directly if you edit W-2s, and then for some reason you remove that year-end wage file, which you can do, those changes that you made to the Edit W-2 window will be gone. So it's really recommended that whatever changes are made to the system. So you would automatically remove the year-end wage file, make the changes, and then recreate the year-end wage file. So once the information's been validated, then you can print your W-2s and your W-3 transmittal form. You can also then print your 1099-R validation reports, the 1099-R forms. Those are the retirement forms. And GP now has, in GP 2013, the 1096 is the 1099 transmittal form, right? Christopher?
That sounds right, yes.
Yeah, I believe it is. It's new this year, so, or with 2013. So once you've created your year-end wage file, printed your W-2s, and you are good to go with that, then you can prepare and submit the information in the magnetic media file if you're required to submit that electronically, or if you just decide that's how you want to handle that. But that's what you're doing here, is preparing the W-2 information in the federal EFWT format, which is the required format to our lovely IRS. There are some optional payroll procedures that you can take once you're done with your actual year-end. If you have the Human Resources module, you can archive HR information for inactive employees. You can delete human resource information for inactive employees if you're trying to clean up your databases. And you can also close the fiscal periods for the payroll series for the 2013 year. So these are optional procedures. They're not required. So once you have completed your year-end update, printed the W-2s, submitted your electronic file if that's what you're doing, then you can begin to install your 2014 payroll taxes. Currently, the Round 1 tax update is due to release on the week of December 16th. Microsoft is waiting on the finalized Circular E so that information can be incorporated into the tax tables. If by chance your year-end wage file needs to be created after the 2014 payroll tax update has been installed, your FICA Social Security limits will probably be incorrect because they will go up this year. Currently in 2013, the Social Security limit is $113,700, so $113,700. When the 2014 tax updates are installed, that number will increase to $115,500, I believe is the limit. So we need to be careful removing the year-end wage file and recreating it if you've installed the 2014 tax tables. If that happens, you know, please feel free to contact Socius for assistance. We'd be more than happy to help you flip that back and forth. So as I mentioned, you know, the changes so far are we know that the Social Security limit is going to increase, and they already are aware of state changes for California, Kansas, Maryland, and North Carolina. And once the Circular E is finalized, then they will update the tax tables and release those. So this is talking about the FICA Medicare wages. If you recall, at the beginning of 2013, any employee over $200,000 in FICA Medicare wages are being assessed an additional percentage. And if the year-end update is not installed prior to closing payroll, your Medicare taxable wages could be incorrect based on those figures. So that's another reason for making sure that your system is current, you have the right update, you have the right tax tables, that type of thing, so that all the tax rates are correct when you calculate your year-end wage file. So one thing I want to point out is the last bullet point here is very important, and we've received calls on this in the last 2 or 3 months. If an employee's FICA Medicare wages exceed $200,000, their taxes will be higher than the employer's match due to the 0.9% increase that the employees pay. So what that means is when you're reconciling your 941 and you see that the wages or the taxes that the employee is paying is higher than the employer, one of the first things you want to look at is, do I have employees over the $200,000 mark? If so, that's more than likely the case. I know Christopher's had a couple calls on it, and I had a call on it last week, so just something to point out there. So the year-end wage process, as you can see, is very similar to prior years. Install the year-end update, process all your payrolls, create your year-end wage file, validate it, print your W-2s. I mean, that's kind of in a nutshell, if you will. But we do want to stress that the year-end update can be installed at any time. They have been released by Microsoft. We will start contacting clients tomorrow or Friday about scheduling to have the year-end update installed and tested potentially if we're doing it in a test environment. Otherwise, if you're a pretty vanilla install, if you will, we'll install it on in your production environment. And then we will make arrangements if you want assistance with actually creating the year-end wage file and running through that process. Then you'll need to let us know. We'll contact you, but you can let us know if you want assistance with that, and then we will get you on the schedule to accomplish that between your last payroll and your first payroll type of thing. So Lisa, do we have any questions?
We do not have any questions at the moment.
Okay.
And I just want to follow up on the question from earlier. After updating with the year-end payroll update for GP 2013, your build number will actually become 12.00.1368. So a little bit higher than the number Tina had from earlier. Since the new update was released, it looks like it was first thing this morning.
And we did get a question, so
Okay.
are you ready?
Yes.
This is someone who joined late, so they're apologizing in case you already answered this.
That's okay.
They are on GP 2010, and they want to know, should the payroll update be applied after the final payroll for 2013 and before the first payroll of 2014?
Okay, so the year-end update, which is it's basically a service pack that is all-inclusive of prior service packs released for the version, so in this case 2010, can be installed at any time. It does not have to wait until after the last payroll is processed. And we encourage you, highly encourage you, to begin installing these as soon as possible. The reason being, especially if you want associates to assist you. We have over 100 payroll clients. And what did you say, Christopher? Last year we helped 70% of them?
We did. 70, yeah, just a little over 70%.
So the sooner that you let us know that you want assistance installing the year-end update, the sooner we can get it installed so that when it is time to do your year-end after your last payroll, you are ready to go. And you're not waiting for that year-end update to be installed. If we had to wait until after the last payroll to install the year-end update, you know, that's all we would be doing for 2 weeks, potentially. So it's important that you go ahead and either make arrangements for associates to assist you with installing it or have your IT department install it if they do that for you. Lisa, are there any other questions?
Not at this time.
Okay. So as I mentioned, you can contact, we will be contacting you probably via email to start with, and then we will be contacting you individually, especially the ones that we know ask for assistance each year, as well as any new payroll implementations that we've done throughout the year, so we can get them assisted if they're looking for assistance. We'll be available to answer questions as if you're trying to do it on your own. If you aren't sure your process and install the year-end update in your production environment and you have a test company, you can log into the test company and walk through the process without affecting your live environment. And you could do that prior to your last payroll. Obviously, some of the numbers when you try to reconcile might be off just a little bit, but that's because you're not complete in one way or another. But it's just a way for you, if you're trying to manage this on your own, log into a test company, walk through the process, and familiarize yourself with it a little bit more. Then that way when you're doing it, you're more comfortable doing it when you're doing it for real. When the year-end update is installed, there is a PDF, like a user guide, that walks through a lot of the stuff that we've already talked about. It has the checklist on how to do it and make sure each step is completed. It talks about installing the year-end update. So it's full of information. We can make sure if you need that we can get you a copy of that if you're not able to find it. But it will be out in the same location as the tax updates or the year-end updates themselves. So unless there are more questions, that's all I have. Unless Christopher wants to add to it, there's our contact information. You can contact Christopher or myself. You can contact your lead consultant, your account manager. If you're not sure who those people are, we could probably find that out for you. Just let us know. There's, like I said, there's our email and our phone numbers.
Tina, we do have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Someone's asking, you referred to a PDF year-end process, and they're asking where they can find that.
Yeah,
so it would be out on Microsoft's website. I'm going to back up on my slides here. So for they're in basically the same location. If you log into Customer Source on Microsoft's website and go to Downloads and Tax Updates, then you would select your version. So if you're on 2010, you're going to select Microsoft Dynamics GP 2010. If you're on 2013, then you'll select the Microsoft Dynamics GP 2013. It'll take you to the page where you download the year-end update, and there will also be a PDF in there that you'll be able to download to walk through. If by chance you don't have a Customer Source login or you're not sure what that is, Lisa, they can contact the account managers, correct, for assistance with that?
Correct.
So if you don't have your login, don't know what it is, or need assistance with setting one up, contact your account manager. They'll help you get that set up, and then you'd be able to log in and download the information. we have any other questions? I'm just going to flip back down here to the bottom so we can show our contact information. And
I don't see any other questions at the moment.
okay. If you think of a question after the fact, like I said, feel free to contact Christopher or me, or your account managers. So if they don't know the answer, they'll let us know, and we'll provide them that information.
And the other thing, this webinar was obviously just for the payroll piece. We are going to be holding a Dynamics GP year-end webinar on December 5th from 1 until 3 o'clock Eastern Time, and Jeff Smith, I believe, will be presenting that. So we hope you can join us for that as well. He'll be going over just some basic payroll pieces, but not as much detail as Tina and Christopher went over today. So we hope everyone can join us for those as well. Let me look one last time here for questions. I don't see any more questions. So
okay.
With that said, we will wrap it up. And Tina and Christopher, thank you for presenting. And for all of those on the phone, we thank you for taking time out of your day to attend. And again, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to associates. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.